Once, there was a little girl named Tilly who was afraid to go to sleep. Nothing bad had ever happened to her, but someone told her a scary story, and after that, she was afraid. One night, she really did hear something. She laid in bed, listening, and she heard a very quiet whisper say, "Tilly, I'm coming up the stairs." The next night, Tilly asked her mother if she could keep the light on for a little while. But her mother said, "Nonsense, darling." Nothing happened that night, so Tilly didn't ask again. But the next night, while Tilly was trying to go to bed, she heard the very same whisper. "Tilly, I'm on the first step." Tilly was too scared to get up and look. The next night, she heard the same little whisper. "Tilly, I'm on the second step." Tilly got more and more scared each night, but everyone told her that it was nothing but a bad dream. There were 8 steps in the staircase, and every night Tilly would hear the same voice. "Tilly, I'm on the 3rd step. Tilly, I'm on the 4th step. Tilly, I'm on the 5th step." Until one night, she heard the voice say, "Tilly, I'm in the hall." Tilly was so frightened, she couldn't eat her breakfast in the morning, and she couldn't eat her supper that night. The next night, Tilly was lying awake in bed, and it was not very long before she heard that horrid little whisper. "Tilly, I'm at the door." The next night it said, "Tilly, I'm in the room." Tilly was too scared to even scream for her mother. The next night, she heard the voice call out to her, "Tilly, I'm standing by the bed." And the next night, "I've got you."
Mystery Sketch 2011, Bong Cheon-dong Ghost. This story is based on true eyewitness accounts. It was around 11:20 that night. I was dragging myself home, exhausted after a tiring night study session at school. But there was no one on the street, which I thought was strange. I usually see a lot of people, even at night, since my apartment complex is pretty big. Anyway, feeling scared, I kept looking down at the ground while walking home. Suddenly, a shadow stretching towards me caught my eye, although there wasn't anyone around me. I looked up to see who there was. I saw a woman walking in front of me, but she looked a little strange. I could say she looked crippled. She was limping and struggling to walk in front of me. Since she was walking very slow, I soon caught up with her. Up close, I was able to see her even better. She was wearing dirty pink pajamas and looked as if all her joints in her body had been twisted. Worse, her hair was a mess and sticking out to everywhere. It seemed so weird that I stopped walking. I felt like I shouldn't get any closer to her, nor did I have the guts to pass her by.
Where is my baby?
You know, people say if you're really surprised, you can't even scream. That was right. I froze there, not being able to move at all. My thoughts were racing to her question. Oh my God, I don't even know what I was thinking when I did that. It gave me chills thinking that moment. I answered, pointing as far as I could. Over there. I just wanted her to get away from me. Then she limped towards where I had pointed to, and I couldn't see her anymore. Fearing that I might run into her again, I tried to turn around and leave that apartment complex. I could not think of anything but to get to a place where there would be people around. At that moment, I heard her screaming from far away. I don't remember anything from then on. I heard that my neighbor found me passed out on the ground and took me home. In 2007, at an apartment complex in Bongcheong-dong, Seoul, a 33-year-old woman jumped off the apartment and died on the spot. Known as a surname, Cho, a divorcee due to her extramarital affair, she had lost custody of her 2-year-old daughter and decided to commit suicide. After that incident, Cho was seen walking around that apartment complex several times.
Hello everyone, my name is Left for Junkie and welcome back to Storytime with Left for Junkie. Yeah. But anyway, in this, I'm going to read some scary stories that are happening in true or real life, so if you got any scary stories that you've written, then you can comment in the section and tell me. I'll read them. Today's story is The Man in the Bunny Costume. When I was younger, I used to live by the woods, and I could see the cemetery from my back porch. One Easter, I remember waking up and seeing the Easter Bunny in one of those terrifying costumes. And what really gets me is I remember smelling the wet hay. When I woke up, I didn't tell anyone, but there was an Easter egg in my house that my parents didn't hide. Years later, when I was in high school, I asked my parents if they ever dressed up like the Easter Bunny and came into our room. They said they would never go through so much trouble. Then, my younger sister, who I shared a bunk bed with when this happened, said she remembers the Easter Bunny coming into our room and made a remark about the hay smell. I was terrified that we both remembered seeing a person dressed as a bunny in our room. To make it even stranger, I told the friends I sat with at lunch what happened. One of the girls was my neighbor across the street. Told me one Easter a long time ago. She looked out her window during the night and saw the Easter Bunny standing in her driveway. I had chills. To this day, I am terrified of rabbit costumes. The stranger in the house. In college, I would go home every other weekend to work at the job I had since high school. I would drive directly from campus after my last class on Friday to my job. And after my shift was done, I'd go back to my parents' house, which was out in the middle of nowhere. My parents weren't yet home yet when I got back from work, so the house was dark, and since it was mid-fall, so was the yard. Save for the yard lot, I pulled into my normal parking spot, got out of the car, and then turned to open the back door of my car and get my backpack out of the back seat. Then when I noticed the bathroom light was on, was the light on when I pulled up? It must have been, right? As I was looking at the light and reaching for my backpack, there was suddenly a very angry looking old woman standing in the window staring at me. We're not talking restless crap face here neither. She was peed at me, off at me, and I knew it. We stood there staring at each other for a good 10 seconds when my parents pulled into the driveway, distracting me from the stare down with the woman in the bathroom. By the time I turned back, the light was light was still on, but the woman was gone. I discovered a strange man hiding under my bed. I had just moved into my first apartment and was in the process of moving in. The door that led into my apartment locks itself automatically when closed, so I was going to the entrance of the apartment complex to get my mail while talking on the phone with my boyfriend. I returned to my apartment and sat on the bed while opening the mail while using the phone. I dropped the phone on the floor and it landed under the bed, so I had to lie on the floor and stretch for it. I saw something that caught my eye. There was someone under my bed. My eyes wandered and I choked the urge to scream. The person under my bed was lying still, with his back towards me, and his head to his chest. So I couldn't see his face, and he didn't see me, trying to be rational while so many thoughts rushed through my head. I picked up the phone and said, "Sorry, I dropped my phone. I'm just going to take a shower and call you back." The bathroom is right by my bed, so I hastily walked in, quietly locked the door, turned the shower on, jumped out my window, and called the police. They told me to wait nearby, but to go to across the street and see if anyone comes out the door to the apartment complex. This was during the summer and it was still light out. I placed myself across the street, hiding behind a car while watching my open bathroom window and the entry door. I called my boyfriend and he came to me before the police. I gave them my keys and they went inside. Only moments later, 2 cops came out holding a thin and tired looking man. His eyes looked crazy, but he didn't try to get away. The policeman that had stood beside me and confronted me while the police searched through the for my house. I was a mess, shivering and crying. Told me that the man stood outside my bathroom door with one of my kitchen knives waiting for me to come out. This man had somehow crept into my entry door while I was getting my mail and hiding under the bed. The man that was trying to hurt me turned out to be a homeless person and was placed in a mental hospital. My boyfriend moved in with me the very next day.
Somebody was stealing the meat Jed Smith kept in his smokehouse. Every day, a ham or some bacon or something else was missing. Finally, Jed decided he had to put a stop to it. One night he hid in the smokehouse with his rifle and waited for the thief. He didn't have to wait long, for soon a black she-cat slunk in. She was the biggest cat Jed had ever seen. When she jumped up and pulled down a ham hanging from the ceiling, Jed grabbed his rifle and turned on the lights. But instead of running away, the cat jumped at him. He fired and shot off one of her paws. Jed was sure he heard a woman scream right after his gun went off. The cat began tearing around the room, spitting and yowling. Then she ran up the chimney and was gone. Jed stared at the cat's paw. Only it wasn't a cat's paw anymore. A woman's foot lay wriggling on the floor, all shot up and bloody. So it's a witch that has been doing it, he told himself. Just then one of Jed's neighbors, a fellow named Burdick, came racing down the road to get a doctor. His wife's foot had been shot in an accident, he told Jed. She's bleeding pretty bad, he said. The doctor got to her barely in time. People who were there when it happened said that she was spitting and yowling, just like a cat.